Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are you guys doing? Now, normally you know me to be that very charismatic guy, but this is a show where you can put a little bit of charisma in it, but I got to give y'all a nice serious tone in a way. So here's a nice little mixture of both. But it's your favorite neighborhood mediator, your boy Dwayne, and welcome to this edition of Time Out, titled Cancel Culture, baby. And I am joined by the very host of this very show, Mr. Jonathan Torado. How are you doing, good sir?
What's up, man? How you doing? Derrick, Janine, Dwayne, how y'all doing? I'm good. I'm good. There's issues that we last talked about in time. I know it's been a business last episode. Protests still going on. Black lives still being diminished out there. And, we're over here speaking the word as much as we can to try to help that. So this is why we're here.
Yes. And of course, I feel that. So also joined with us today, we got the other co-host of Time Out and my man, Mr. Derrick Myers. Sir, talk to the people. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, bro. How you been? How's everybody doing?
Good.
Pretty good.
Good. Yeah, I'm good, man. I've ate dinner, so I'm nice and satisfied.
Hey, man, you definitely one up on me, good sir. But that's all right. It's not about what you eat. It's about what you eat mentally. See what I did there, people?
Yeah, it's about that, but it's also about what you eat, because I was starved.
I feel you, my brother. And of course, today joining us on Timeout is a very important and special guest. History is being made on today because she is the first female guest to give us the representation of the ladies and the women in the house. So I would like to welcome a dope host of an awesome show titled What Did I Think About This Week? And you can also catch her as well, your favorite neighborhood co-host, the queen of Clatchet herself, Miss Janean Berry. How are you doing, ma'am?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing well. I'm so excited to be the first woman co-host or guest. This is amazing. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
What are you sipping on today?
Uncle Nearest whiskey.
Okay.
I would get into the history of it, but I feel like I've talked about it for so much. But if you don't know, just Google it. It's an amazing story. And a little bit of pineapple juice.
That is a story we actually need to discuss one day. Because I heard what Kenny Burns was talking about, and I loved it. Yeah. But I do want to dive deep on that one day. That was good.
Right. It's a cool story.
Awesome. So, as you guys mentioned, seems like the mood is set. This is going to be a nice, positive vibe. But just to let you know, slight disclaimer: this is Time Out, so nothing is really held back on this very show. So if you're one of those right now, this is the future disclaimer. If you're one of those that easily get offended, then I suggest right about now, this might be the moment you want to stop and not necessarily leave, but just go check out some other shows on OTS, such as Sideline Guys, Debate Fuel, What Did I Think About This Week, Past the Ox, and so many other shows under the OTS library. But I'm going to give it about 2 seconds, and then we're going to get back into this. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So for those of you who are still below on the ears, y'all like how I did that. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
You gave them 45, like 0.3 seconds. Yeah.
3 seconds? Well, hey, it's not about the
minutes.
time, and it's about what you got to do. I didn't say seconds, not minutes, but it doesn't take that long to just, hit the exit button, all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That being said, we would also like to welcome our audience that are listening right there on Six Families Radio and on the TuneIn app. Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome to Time Out. And, well, something brand new on Six Families Radio that we call Time Out Tuesdays. So come sit with us. If you're driving, ride with us. Wherever you are, we thank you. We welcome you. And without further ado, let's get this thing underway. So, Jonathan, good sir, go ahead and introduce to us what we are speaking specifically about in cancel culture history today.
So, as Dwayne mentioned, cancel culture and the current climate we're seeing out there with all the racial injustice and things like that, we've all noticed as hosts and guests that the focus has been kind of veering off, right? We are specifically demanding at this point that Black Lives Matter, right? Everybody's heard it, but it's not only that Black Lives Matter when it comes to general life. We're talking life or death at this point. You know, we have all these lives of Breonna Taylor and Trayvon Martin, and the list goes on and on and on, and we're tired of it. So when we speak of wanting the defunding of police, we don't necessarily mean get rid of police. We mean let's reset what they are now. And when it comes to cancel culture, that's cool, right? We want to just stop that brutality from continuing.
Mm-hmm.
But when they start to talk about TV shows that need to go away, or old jokes that were made back in 2006, none of us care about that. None of the people that truly care about the movement care about that. Right. We care specifically about police brutality, underprivileged youth, terrible schools in our urban communities. Those are the things we need to fix. And Dwayne and Derrick and Janine and I discussed before we started the show. Basketball has obviously started. Everybody's happy. We love it. Black Lives Matter has been shown, represented, players kneeling, representing Cap. We have LeBron speaking up, every player speaking up. Every player is allowed to have a word or verbiage on their jersey that explains their cause and what they care about. I love it. But then we have Jonathan Isaac pop up. He's the forward of the Orlando Magic. And Dwayne, I know you wanted to play a clip that kind of explains what he talked about.
Yes. So without further ado, let's go ahead and listen to Jonathan Isaac's reasoning behind why he chose to stand and not kneel with his fellow teammates before the game.
So you didn't kneel during the anthem, but you also didn't wear a Black Lives Matter shirt. Do you believe that Black Lives Matter?
Absolutely. I believe that Black Lives Matter. A lot went into my decision, and part of it is, first off, is my thought that, kneeling or wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt don't go hand in hand with supporting Black lives. And so I felt like, just me personally, and what it is that I believe in, standing on the stance that I do believe that Black Lives Matter, but I just felt like it was a decision that I had to make, and I didn't feel like putting that shirt on and kneeling went hand in hand with supporting Black lives, or that it made me support Black lives or not. I believe that for myself, my life has been supported through the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that everyone is made in the image of God, and that we all fall short of God's glory, and that each and every one of us, each and every day, do things that we shouldn't do. We say things that we shouldn't say. We hate and we dislike people that we shouldn't hate and dislike. And sometimes it gets into a point where we point fingers about whose evil is worse. And sometimes that comes down to simply whose evil is most visible.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that was, again, NBA star Jonathan Isaac of the Orlando Magic. That was his reasoning behind why he chose not to kneel with his fellow players. So as we go around the room, we would love to know what you guys' individual thoughts were on Jonathan Isaac's logic and reasoning behind why he chose not to kneel.
Good, Jimmy.
Okay, so I'm assuming that the Black community wants to cancel him at this point because he chose to not wear a Black Lives Matter mask or t-shirt, and because he did not kneel, yes?
Yes.
Okay, a couple different things. So firstly, his reasoning for not kneeling or not wearing a Black Lives t-shirt makes no sense, and it's so annoying that we have to time and time again try to break it down in the simplest terms of saying Black Lives Matter, supporting the Black Lives movement does not mean we're saying we don't support other lives, that nobody else's lives matter, or that everybody other than Black people are evil. What we're saying is that at this moment in time, our focus has to be on the fact that our lives are being taken, or we're not given the justice the way that other groups are. And so everything that he just said totally takes away from what Black Lives Matter is really about, what it's supposed to mean. and then it feeds the other side of people, I guess the white community or people that want to say all lives matter or whatever. You're just feeding into what their ideal is, and it's counterproductive. Like what you're saying has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter at all.
Yeah, it's really, I I guess I somewhat understand what he's trying to say, because he's bringing faith into this, religion into this. So if I'm correct, what I'm hearing him say is that this is more of a religious thing in terms of, being a Christian. He's not going to kneel down for anything but God. And I think there was a baseball player last week that's the exact same thing. And seem like I can understand that perspective, but at the same time, it's so distracting and uneducated, that we now other conversations about things nothing to do with this, literally nothing to do with this. I think Jonathan Isaac was trying to make a statement and a stand on this from a religious aspect, and it failed miserably because he's not educated on what he's discussing. This goes back to what I was saying before. Not everybody needs to speak up about something. If you don't understand what it is you're talking about, sit down, be quiet, and learn from those that do. Because when you do stuff like this, now it's just, like I said before, it's just a distraction, and it takes away from the meaning of the actual movement. I mean, now at this point, well, we're 4 years removed from Kaepernick first kneeling, right? It's what's the right way to say it? It's politically correct to kneel now, right? Like it's okay and acceptable to kneel now. When he was doing it, you were demonized for doing that. You know what I'm saying? And like if you don't want to kneel, just say you don't want to kneel. Not that you don't support Black Lives Matter or you don't support the people that are in your life, that are black or whatever the thing might be. Just say you don't want to kneel. I don't expect everyone to kneel. Like the idea that you're kneeling means you automatically support this is not true. There are plenty of people that are kneeling just because it just looks okay to do it. They don't feel like they're going to get grilled. They feel like they're going to get grilled for not doing it. So, like, I don't expect everyone to kneel. You don't have to kneel, but if you're not going to kneel, you also don't have to say all of this. Yeah. This was just dumb as hell. And he did not need to speak.
It's not like he was struggling to try to make sense of why he didn't. Like Derrick said, just don't say anything. Just say, you know what, like, I love Black people, but I just chose to not kneel. That's not how I choose to support this or support us.
Yeah, and then he went further into with not wearing a shirt. Like that, honestly, to me, made no sense either. Like you're bringing in again another distraction to this conversation to do what? Like, what's the purpose? What's the meaning behind all of this?
I said this like 25 times last episode. There's a time to talk, and there's a time to shut the fuck up.
Right.
And right now is Isaac's time to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing that came out when I because I think that we had about a minute clip, but there was a little more that he said either before or after the fact, maybe on a second interview or whatever the case was. He was speaking a lot about unity. Okay. So what totally discredits his unifying statement when he's the only one not unifying with the Black Lives Matter movement within the NBA.
Right.
The only one on that court. Now, mind you, there's another. I think he's actually might be another Magic player. I can't remember his name.
No, Myers Leonard for the Heat.
Another Magic player too, but maybe Myers as well. He said, "Look, I am religious. I have many family members who were in the military, but he still wore the shirt. He locked arms with his kneeling teammates, and still represented the Black Lives Matter movement. I understand if you specifically, and you spoke to it, Derrick, if you don't want to kneel, I don't want you to do it just because you feel like you have to.
Yeah.
It needs to mean something.
Yeah.
And speaking a little bit back to the fact that it was, what is it, like not vilified anymore? Look at the NFL. Yeah. The NFL came out with this large, giant statement. Oh, we support Black lives. We are done with it. You know what happened? You know why the NFL did that? Because there was finally allowed to be done. And they finally saw that their pockets won't hurt by doing it.
Right.
In fact, they saw their pockets are going to get bigger by supporting it.
Yeah.
So overall, the thing's tarnished. The kneeling, right? Yeah. So not the Black Lives Matter movement, the kneeling.
Yeah.
You know what would have been a strong statement? Colin Kaepernick, we fucked up.
Yeah.
You did what was right 4 years ago, and we cut you off completely.
Right.
Because if they had listened back then, God knows how many lives could have been saved.
Oh,
because it ain't stopped since 4 years ago. There's been more and more every day.
For sure.
Every day. And there's no reason why, and we talked about this all the time. And you know what? It's crazy because I get tired talking about it as an Hispanic male and then we talked about this, me having a complexion of a white man, I can get away with not being racist not being towards me as much. Black people don't have that luxury. If you want to call it luxury, because it's pathetic that it has to be the case. But they don't, right? It's sad.
Right.
And with Isaac, he speaks church, he speaks religion. Where have they been?
The church has been quiet, man.
Not only where have they been for this, where have they been for 50, 100 years?
Yeah.
Do I not remember a lot of religions were anti this, anti that? You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't say here, you can't be with this person, you can't, oh, he looks different. Come on. Where were you when all these, mind you, this is a $1 billion industry, religion, right? For the most part, if not more. Underprivileged communities, where was the money for them? Where was the money to fix the neighborhoods that you have your church in, that you expect people to donate to you every Sunday or Saturday, whatever your church follows?
Yeah. No, and that speaks to a whole different issue with it. There's you have these mega churches, which I went to. I used to go to one. Like I understand also the behind the scenes with that, and the fact that you have churches that make stupid money every year and have members in the congregation that either live paycheck to paycheck or they can't sometimes even have food for the whole family. It's like the parents have to literally not eat so the kids can eat. You know how I know? Because I've been there. Like I was that kid. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things. Like you gotta, if you put it into perspective, what he said literally around the board was dumb as hell, made no sense, and he should have just kept quiet. There's nothing else to say to that. There's no reason to come out and say what he said as a black man as well. That's another thing, because this is going to end up being something that that racists use, or people that are against Black Lives Matter use to say, hey, yeah, this black guy over here said this. Like, it does, and it just discredits the whole thing.
Yep.
So yeah, he made light of the whole situation. He made light of the movement. He really discredited himself, like you said, Jonathan, with talking about unity. Like, it just, none of this made sense. He wasn't prepared to actually speak on things like this. Jaylen Brown, a basketball player that's been doing. Oh. He knows. He's studied. He understands what he's actually trying to convey. You have to be willing to do some of the work behind the scenes on yourself before you go in front of a camera to say something that you don't even know what you're saying.
Being uninformed is the worst weakness you can ever have.
Yeah, and I won't utilize age in this conversation because you're old enough to know that you don't know everything. So don't speak as if you know everything. But
within his statement, he says, a lot of people say and do things that they shouldn't say. So let me break it down for the young man. A lot of people just don't go out murdering people. Okay, like not a lot. If you want to talk about the general aspect of it, a lot of people don't hate a race so much, or are built in a system that sees a race as a lesser individual. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't do that, Isaac. They don't. Okay, so when we talk about Black Lives Matter, and he's so foolish because he knows why the movement started.
Yeah.
Black people just didn't wake up one day and say, "Well, I don't think I'm getting enough money today," or something. Like let's get a movement. No, they're fucking dying. If all else, and mind you, when we talk about systemic racism, we talked about it last episode, and keep bringing it up. It's every level of life. It's financing. It's education. It's the total system is built to not let Black people succeed. They need to work 3 times as hard to get 3 times less pay, and that's a fact. That is a statistic that exists. Yeah. Okay? You have President Trump, mind you, President Trump. You have President Trump himself admits it, that, well, he tries to lie and say, I'm the best president for Black people, whatever. But he is right in the sense, not about that, but when he mentions Black people have been underpaid for years. There have been presidents that didn't have initiatives, and I don't think he even has any. He just lies. But there are presidents that never even brought initiatives up to help that gap. Because Black lives has started so low that the minimal success they get is seen as success for them, but it ain't nowhere clear enough. There's all these CEOs out there and guys who are have legacy funds that come from their great grandparents. Mm-hmm. Well, we know where the great grandparents that they were slave
where
owners.
that money came from. Yep.
I mean, so right then and there, you started way ahead.
Yeah.
The system itself continues to build on that. There's no reason why every student in our country, no matter what race, color, creed, or whatever the case is, doesn't have the same resources, the same technology, and the same education. Because I know teachers that make $30,000 a year in the middle of the city that pay $25,000 a year in supplies because their school can't fucking afford it. Mm-hmm. That's a serious problem. That's systemic racism. Mm-hmm. So it's a systemic issue because there are white people that go to those schools. Mm-hmm. But what do you say? Well, white people are dealing with it too. Then you're only speaking to my point that everybody's dealing with bullshit.
Yeah.
Everybody's dealing with the underprivilegedness then. And then they say, oh, well, white people are dying by police too. Okay. So what you're telling me is that police are killing people for no reason. Mm-hmm. You're agreeing with the statement. But
even if that is the case, then we need to reform the police, which is the whole fucking point.
It's the whole fucking point. And the thing is, if you want to bring up the statistics, there are more white people in the country. So there will be more interactions with the police. And now let's dig deeper. What is a good shoot and a bad shoot? My dad's retired law enforcement. Okay, good shoot, bad shoot. A good shoot is someone shooting at you, you kill them. Good shoot. Bad shoot. Where are the percentages for that? I think I saw something out there. I don't really like to dig too far into statistics. Sometimes they're just made up, I feel like. Every 4 to 1 is a minority to white person that gets killed in a bad shoot. And then they speak, I can keep going on, but then they speak of, black on black crime. Oh, that's obviously an issue. Listen, motherfucker. What happens to the people that commit black on black crime? Almost 110% of the time.
They're convicted.
and they go and get consequences. So what are we asking for in the Black Lives Matter movement? Fucking consequences for the police.
Yeah.
That's it. So yes, we know that there's a minority on minority issue.
Yeah.
So Hispanic gangs against black gangs and things like that exist all around the country. They get their consequences. Those communities want that shit to stop. But why do police continue to get paid leave? And why do they not get arrested right away, like the individual who shot somebody up in the street in California?
Yeah.
And I would say too, we have to be careful with bringing up the black on black crime, because there's black on black crime, but there's white on white crime, there's Asian on Asian crime, there's Hispanic.
Everything.
It's going to be whoever is within, whoever is in your proximity,
around your area.
And in addition to that, bringing up black on black crime is not a response to Black Lives Matter, because yes, you know, we have to matter to ourselves first, like that's very true. But you can fight two battles at once. Like, don't deflect the focus on what we're doing to end systemic racism and systemic injustice by now bringing in black on black crime. You need to focus on that too, but we're focusing on this right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they almost bring that argument up as a precursor to, like, if you want this to stop, then y'all stop killing yourselves. Like it's justified for cops to be killing black people because there's black on black crime. Do you not understand how dumb that sounds? You know what I'm saying? Like, that sounds really dumb.
All of it needs to stop.
It all needs to stop. And
speaking to Janine's point, we can have all of those conversations at the same time because all of it needs to be stopped. We understand that.
The thing about it, though, we need to focus on one issue at a time, right? Because if we start, not everybody's going to be able to do the same thing. Okay, so there are some people that need to work on one thing, and other people that need to work on another. The ones that are working on that other thing, go talk to them.
Right.
Go talk to them. When you're talking about someone that's over here fighting for the Black Lives Matter movement, whether you're talking about the organization themselves or you're just talking about the sentiment of the term, when you're coming up to those people, don't bring up that argument, because all you're doing is distracting and diverting. It makes no sense.
And it makes me look at you sideline too. Like, why are you deflecting from, okay, I am saying Black Lives Matter, and then you're coming to say this. So are you not saying that Black lives don't matter because you feel like, like,
right?
What is your goal for even bringing that up?
Right. And so if you have that issue, speak to those people that are actually in the communities, which that's a whole nother situation. Like, we don't really. This is one thing I will say, as Black people, we need to start supporting those people in our communities and giving them more shine that are actually fighting those fights, because we don't know who they are. And if anyone can tell me who's actually in the NAACP in terms of leadership for the Black community, I would love to know, because I don't know who's in the NAACP.
So
we need adequate
I can't
leadership
say
in
that
general.
You shouldn't blame the general public on that, though. That's on the NAACP to step up, right? So I think their reach needs to be put out there more, and it speaks back to the lack of education.
Right. Well, see, I don't mean to conflate the two things.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm saying, like, the people that are in our communities that are actually doing the work. I'm not saying the NAACP is.
Okay.
Group.
I misunderstood. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying those people, like say for example, Killer Mike, right? He's out here putting in that work.
Yes, sir.
Where he's saying we need education. We need to be able to be self-sufficient in our living. Do this, that, and the other. He's telling Black people what they need to do for themselves, right? So, but people like him, maybe not even the celebrity aspect, but anyone that's in that arena, that's fighting that fight, go speak to them. Go speak to them. Bring that up to them. And what I'm saying is that we need to shine a light on those people more, so that everyone knows who those people are. But these people over here that are fighting for Black Lives Matter, that's dumb. Don't bring that to them. That's like asking a lawyer to come to a construction site and build. You know what I'm saying? Why would you do that?
It's not
it's not my job. Yeah. So why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. That's what I meant. I didn't mean to conflate the two. But
yeah, you're good.
It's just one of those things that frustrates the hell out of me. Like, we as the Black community need to support those that are taking that charge of leadership in those different roles for whatever issue it is. We need to support them wholeheartedly and not tear them down, because that's one thing that I will say that it sucks to see when people that are in leadership positions that are trying to do those good things get torn down so easily. You know what I'm saying? Like that I would like to see changed. But speaking to the overall fact of what Jonathan Isaac was talking about, he's conflating different arguments together, and it's really it's just what the NBA has done was creating this whole bubble for the league and highlighting this movement and doing what they can to broaden their impact, raise their voices, all that stuff. He is going against it. He's going against it, and that's a losing battle, honestly. Like, you're not going to do that, and one man going against all those people.
And to be clear, with the NBA, where I think the NFL is doing it differently, is they're doing it themselves. The NBA gave the NBPA, so the Players Association, full reins to make decisions on anything related to movement.
Right, and supported them.
And supported anything they wanted to do. Supported
them, yeah. That would be like us actually trying to do something for women and not asking Janine what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just stroking our own ego to say we're doing something for women, and now we're doing more harm than good because of the fact that we're not taking her opinions and other women's opinions or perspectives into consideration. It's very counterproductive. It makes no sense, and it distracts from the movement as a whole. And that's the thing that I would like for Jonathan, as while he's on his downtime now because he got injured. While he's on his downtime, I would like for him to go ahead and educate himself on what it is that he's
not understanding.
Honestly.
And the thing is, it's almost the other side of the coin, where I don't want people who don't want to kneel to be stopped from doing that. So if they want to stand, that's their decision. I get that people have their religious standing or have a father. I mean, my father was a military vet and law enforcement, but he's also an Hispanic man. I told the story last time out episode, I believe. He was pulled over off of some racism shit, basically. And if not for showing his badge, he's not sure where it would have gone. The cop was hella aggressive, and it could have gone a different way. So he understands both perspectives, and he tells me, he says, son, I may not kneel if it came down to it, because I'm a vet, and that's how I feel, but I'll be damned if I ever speak up on anything against what the Black Lives Matter movement is about.
Right.
He goes, and he tells me, both in law enforcement and military, I literally fought for you guys to have the ability to do what the fuck you want.
Right.
I didn't fight to say, well, you do what I want because I'm fighting. That's him, and that's many soldiers, and then many soldiers on the other side. And the thing is, I don't care if they're on the other side of it. I fought, and you should stand. Okay, but right now, just shut up, because right now people are dying, right? So you fought for us to be protected, for us to feel safe, for us to be in a country where we're free and have the pursuit of happiness and liberty and all that. Well, right now, there's many minority lives that aren't getting that shit. Not by the systemic or the system itself, the lives we live, or the lives we no longer have because they're getting taken so soon.
Right, but you just said it. They fought for us to feel safe. That's part of it, right? We don't feel safe.
You don't.
Hello. Why is that such a hard thing to conceive? Yeah, like why?
Which brings us back to our main point.
Right.
Exactly. Why is that such a hard thing for people to understand? It's actually, you know what? I'm sorry. It's not that they don't understand. They don't want to understand.
Yeah.
You have to have a desire to want better for people. You have to have a genuine love for people to want to see more for them, to actually feel that way. So the people that are against it like that, they don't really care. There's a piece of them that's incapable of actually caring for others that are different from them in whichever way, race, social class, whatever it is that you want to talk about. There's this piece of them that's missing.
And that's the argument for the other side is they're like, oh well, there's so few times something like this happens. It's like, bro, come on. This has been years on years.
Just started getting publicized.
We're just, you know what changed? I don't know if you guys can see it. I keep right here. Hold on. Oh,
yeah, the phone.
Up and up. The phone.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have a little issue. This is what changed.
Yeah.
I can record anytime now. That's what changed. Yeah. Because this existed for years at times.
Before we the same things, we weren't being believed.
Son, y'all took pictures of hangings and all types of things and put it out yourselves.
Yes. Exactly.
So, like, why are we acting like this is not something that has been going on for centuries?
It's not shocking at all. And it's not. It's not only. I mean, the biggest thing is the police brutality and the lives lost, but the little things. A guy cutting grass in a neighborhood and gets the cops calling him with his kid. The Karens, right? Always bugging people for no reason, for skateboarding or just every normal stuff. So for the majority of white people, they have the ability to do whatever they want, wherever they want, whenever they want. And if you put a black person in those same shoes, in those same situations at the same time, they're fearful, and the outcome is almost bound to be different every single time because people are going to look at them differently. They're going to have an issue with it, and the police are going to be called. And that's and it's not every single time, but it's more than enough. And I think more than enough is more than one time or one time at all.
And then even the entitlement that the Karens of the world feel that they have to even speak to authorities the way that they do, because they know that they're protected regardless. Like, I am going to call you. I'm going to say a black man is here. And then if you don't respond the way that I want you to, I can be a fucking aggressive towards you. I can say whatever I want to, and I'm still not going to have any type of consequence.
Right.
It's just this embedded entitlement that white people have, not all white people, but majority have.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they may not even know it.
Yeah, they don't know it until it comes out.
Derrick, Dwayne, and I talked about this last episode. The biggest overall issue is not the people who are just blatantly racist, or the people that A, don't notice they're being racist, or B, don't speak up when they see racism happening. Those are the people that more to what you're speaking, Janine, is those are the people that are biggest problem because they're letting all this stuff happen. They're not speaking up. And then when a movement has started, you're speaking against it. Like Jonathan Isaac, like, come on, dude. Where's your thought process just to speak on something that you clearly have no understanding? You know, he speaks here. I was pulling up a quote. Sorry about that, but I think when you look around, racism isn't the only thing that plagues our society, that plagues our nation, that plagues our world. Bro, hold on a second.
Here we go.
Time out. Literally, time out.
Yep.
It's a deflection. Janine just said it. It is when we want. So it's funny because we've given analogies and people have given plenty. And I was speaking to a buddy of mine like a month ago, and the best analogy was something we came up with, right? So I think I might even mention this in one of the previous episodes, but we talk about terrorist attacks. Let's talk about it for 1 second, okay? Obviously, every terrorist attack is terrible. Everyone. When 9/11 happened, what was the first thing you said? Holy shit, we just got attacked. Oh my God, all those people. Or did you say, well, there's been plenty of terrorist attacks. It doesn't matter.
Right.
That's a great way to put it. Great way to put it.
No, every individual act or issue matters.
Yeah.
And they can matter separately while still caring about everything else.
Yeah.
I don't hate white people. I don't hate other lives. But at
Yeah.
this moment, minority lives need to matter because they continue to be diminished and ill-respected.
Right.
Daily.
Right.
Daily. And it could be things we still don't know about when you're at work one day. You know, I'm the Hispanic guy, probably the only Hispanic guy in my damn building, right? How do I know a manager or whoever may have said, he thinks he's going to be a manager one day? Don't think so. Or those little things, right? We don't know, but they exist. We know they exist. Emails start popping up and all that. That's when it comes to the cancel culture, that makes sense. But it like his uneducation or not being educated on the issue is the problem with so many people in the world. Right? Yep. They're embedded with their religious mindsets or the military background or whatever background they came from, law enforcement, whatever the case is. They were raised the wrong way. And you got to understand there are other races and other, you're going to just say white people, that were raised correctly, that speak up against, you know, injustices and brutality. And well, so I spoke of it myself. For now on and going forward and what I've done in the past, even a minor fucking joke you make in regards to race and racism, I'm done. I don't care who you are. I'm done. It's not funny anymore. It never was, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to cancel culture, when you're trying to put that stuff into, we're trying to stop this now. That the meaning of this movement is to stop the next generation from being like us. So, well, like the society we're in now. We want to change it. Well, we want to be more like us, if anything, us in this group. But the way things
having to experience the things we've experienced.
Exactly. I don't want my kids to have to deal with that ever. They may not. You know, being Hispanic compared to Black, I don't want your kids to ever have to deal with Derrick and Janine and Dwayne. I don't want that to ever be the case. And we speak of what we need to do. Oh, we need to vote. We need to get the right people in office. And I don't speak on presidency. We've talked about this a bunch of times. The president is a celebrity gig, in my opinion. We need to handle local government, state government, people that are really impactful, legislators. You know, I'm doing my research and figuring out when I'm in Erie County in New York, who's the best choice? Who's going to push at the House and who's going to push in Congress new laws and new initiatives and so on and so forth. That's what matters. And always speaking up. Like we need to speak up. Like I'm done staying quiet. And for the first time ever, and this may be pandering by my work or they genuinely care. Who knows? It could be half and half. I feel comfortable speaking about this stuff at work finally. Like I feel like now if I say Black Lives Matter at work, I won't get fired. Why the fuck did I feel like I would be? And I probably would have been in the past.
Yeah.
At different jobs.
It's okay.
My job now, they're great. Yeah. You know, they really are. The company pushes for a lot of different initiatives. They have resource groups where we all learn each other's cultures. Like I'm part of every single different, like a Pacific Islander and African American resource group and Hispanic and LGBTQ and all that. You know, I try because there are things I'm still not educated on, and I want to learn more about those cultures and learn more about their past and their history because I don't know. I don't know everything. I was raised by good parents that taught me right and wrong.
Yeah.
But not everybody was. And even if you were, you still have a lot to learn.
So quick question. So where the episode is about cancel culture. So just to make sure everybody's on the same page, what are we defining cancel culture as?
So, in my opinion, cancel culture is not a bad thing if it's focused on the right thing.
Okay.
So when we speak of Isaac, do I want to cancel him? No, he's a young black
That was
man
my ultimate question.
I feel like he needs to be educated. Now, mind you, when it comes to straight up blatant racism or intent to harm or police brutality, that ain't even cancel culture. That's human rights. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when I speak to someone that made a dumb racist joke or Isaac speaking on the wrong thing or anybody for that matter, I feel like that everybody, white, black, whoever you are, should get a chance to be educated.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you can continue the dumb shit, then probably can cancel you after the fact. But I think everybody deserves that chance. Yes, so that's what you're asking. So for him, I don't think canceling is the right thing. I think if you cancel him, he's going to dig further into the hole he already dug. And he's going to start to hate that movement where he kind of just focused more on loving his movement. If you cancel him and the whole, we have so many people out there wishing him bad and glad he hurt his knee, making jokes about the fact he tore his ACL. I ain't doing that. I don't mind speaking on a young man that negatively, and I don't hate him like that because he's uneducated, because that's all it is. And Derrick, you spoke to it earlier. Janine said the same thing. He's uneducated.
Yeah.
So I hope he takes his time when he's hurt to get educated.
Well, let's see. Here's the thing. He's 22 years old, right? So again, I don't really want to make that an excuse because that part is kind of played out, to be completely honest. But I do know that when you're that age, you think you know a lot of stuff, and you really don't. You really don't. Things didn't start really clicking for me until I actually hit 25, and that's when the brain fully develops, right? So for me, I wasn't able to start processing things at full capacity until that happened. And I'm hoping that's part of it for him, is that he's just young and dumb, and he's just at that age where he can tell everybody whatever. Like you're making money, you're in the NBA, you know, on whatever level. Even if you're someone that's not really playing, you have an NBA contract. At minimum, you're making about $800,000 a year. So, like, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people that are like that, where they feel like, they've come from really nothing, and now you have money, so you can say whatever you want, or you can do whatever you want. And this is a part of it where he's just young and dumb, and he has not taken that time to study. But now that he's got downtime, this is the time to go ahead and study. Truly, to be honest, we've all been quarantined for the most part for the last 4 months or so. A lot of these things have been taking place in the last couple of months, like everything that with Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. Those have taken place over the course of this time. So I would think that he would have, at least during this period, tried to understand what's what. So since he's not done that, this is the time for him to do it. Well, because you cannot be a black man in America and not educate yourself on how things work. If you do, you're done. If you don't study it, you're left behind. You're not. So I'm hoping this is his time to do that. Study, learn what these things are about. I hope there are people that are in the league that will reach out to him, like the Chris Pauls or the Carmelo Anthonys of the world, to reach out to him and try to teach him what it is that he does not know. It's not this. This is another thing. I coming from a religious background, I really hate when people try to battle physical battles with spiritual weapons? Because it makes no sense, right? There are things that you can pray about and all that stuff, but you the Bible also says faith without works is dead, right? So if you're going to try to do something with your two hands and all you're going to do is pray about it and you're not willing to do the work behind that thing, nothing's going to happen. And that's what he's doing right here. He's always, like I'm praying and this and the cool, but what work are you putting in, bruh? What are you doing? What is it that you're actually trying to do? Part of that work is learning. You know what I'm saying? Like that's part of his work that he has to do. Learn, understand, move in a better way moving forward. But where he is right now is so dumb. It's so dumb and uneducated. And I really hope that he can do the work.
What kills me the most too is you can tell he's a well-spoken person.
For sure.
He can tell he is actually very educated, not on this issue, but in general.
For sure.
And how dare he just not do what I feel like he's always done in his life, right? Look into something. Apply yourself to the situation. Look at yourself in those people's shoes.
Right.
Look at the issue. So I think I think I don't want to keep getting into religion, but when it comes to religion, they see things in a very extremist way, right?
A lot of them
issues.
Not all.
A lot of them. A lot of religious people do. I'm saying that they are, but they see other things in an extreme way.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what it is. We just talked about that before we started the episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is it possible that Isaac was looking at the wrong side of the Black Lives Matter? So when I say the wrong side of the Black Lives Matter movement, I mean if you want to call them the Antifa, the people that are just honestly white people that are going out there and destroying property and hurting people and this, that, and another, fighting for the Black lives. Is it possible that his church, or whoever, his religion for that matter, focus more on that than the actual movement? So the actual movement is all the people protesting peacefully. The actual movement are the people going, literally standing on the district attorney for Breonna Taylor's case yard. Kenny Stills, who's been an activist for years, as long, if not longer, than Kaepernick, getting arrested because he's saying, get this case done. This has been months already that Breonna Taylor has not been served justice. Those people that are doing things the right way, that's the movement. So when he's looking at the extreme side, that's like anything. So every religion has an extreme side. A lot of Middle Eastern religions are very peaceful, but immediately they think terrorists. This is what they're fighting. This is why they do it for Allah or whatever the religion speaks for. That's not all of them. That's a small extremist group,
right? That
twisted words within whatever they were. I don't know what's their equivalent of a Bible. Quran, right? I was going to say it, but I didn't want to say it without knowing. But either way, it's people that have that sadistic mindset where they look and twist words how they see fit, that fits their specific
to
benefit their narrative or their extremism. Okay, so this is exactly what's going on with the Black Lives Matter movement. We have people within the movement that shifted off, and again, it goes back to deflecting. They're focusing on almost the wrong issue at this point.
Right.
I don't want you going into minority communities and destroying what they have, especially if you ain't black.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's the realism. You know what I want you doing? I want you sitting on the City Hall front steps. I want you voting when November 3rd comes. Or 6th, is it 6th or 3rd, whatever it is. I'll be there. Whatever day it is, I'll make sure I'm there. I'll be there. I'm not contradicting myself. Point being, though, the movement is the peaceful push for justice.
Right.
And I don't think he's really focused on that. And I think he's very uneducated on that portion of Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we're now having the explanation of what the actual movement and behind what the movement is, for record, And to Derrick's point, in my opinion, the perfect person to mentor Mr. Isaac would actually be Steph Curry, I feel. Because of the fact that Steph Curry is very strong on what's going on, I'm sure, as well. And I know he may be more on the lighter skinned end, but I know he's very strong about what's going on. But more so, I say that because I know he is also a man of faith and believes the exact same beliefs that Mr. Isaac believes. And he has I guess, a higher level of attention on him as far as being up there on the level of a LeBron and all of that in terms of respectability amongst, and popularity. And I just feel like, being the vet that Steph is, as far as that education side of things, Steph can probably give him the nice balance of the two and how to go about this in the way that doesn't come off as offensive to those who might misinterpret what he meant or what he's saying and what he's trying to say and what he's saying. But now that the explanation of the Black Lives Matter movement is explained, what I would like to present to you guys is, okay, when we talk about in terms of cancel culture, and we talk about the fact that cancel culture, on the other hand, is not just a black thing, but apparently it's a black thing, white thing, Hispanic thing. It's a community of its own in a way where whether you're a comedian, actor, rapper, host, whatever, if you're a public figure and you say something or you make a joke, as Jonathan has mentioned with those who make jokes, in the case of a comedian especially, because I have here in front of me a clip where Dave Chappelle explains how cancel culture almost affected him, and everyone knows how much people love to listen to Dave Chappelle and the things that he has to say, and the stories that he can tell. And I will play that clip for you guys to listen to and then kind of give your interpretation to explain based off his explanation and just off of cancel culture in general, what y'all think, and comparing scenarios of an example of who you think is someone that you should quote unquote cancel versus someone that it's like, it's not even like that, dude. Like, it's not that serious. No need to cancel anything about this individual for something that was said or did in this way. So here's the clip from Mr. Chappelle, and let's see what Mr. Chappelle has to say here.
Oh my God. But there's a more important reason that I would stop doing comedy right now. And this reason is the real reason that's been percolating, and it really is the crowd, not you. I'm talking about the crowd on the big stage.
It's too hard to entertain a country whose ears are so brittle. Motherfuckers are so sensitive, the whole country is turned into bitch-ass niggas. Everything you say upsets somebody. You know, I can remember when it all started. It was when I was doing Chappelle's Show. When I was doing Chappelle's Show,
I used to do the show, and then on the weekends I do like concerts and shit like that. So I'm doing a concert, and there was a couple in the front row, beautiful couple. The wife was obviously Asian. You could see it in her face. The husband,
this motherfucker was mysterious, to say the least. Couldn't quite pinpoint where he was from. Caramel-colored fella, very nice hair, but he could have been from anywhere. Bangladesh, Mexico. I can't guess with a nigga like this. All I knew for sure about this guy is that his wife was a bitch. I could see that in her face, too. No, he was laughing and having a good time, and she was scowling at me at a goddamn comedy show. I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized at some point that she was pregnant, and I was smoking on stage. I said, oh my God, that's probably why she's mad. So I started to put my cigarette out, but then she hit me with one of them fake non-smoker calls. So I just kept smoking. I thought to myself, bitch, that babe will be fine. Relax.
And I tried to break the tension. I just asked her. That's all I said. I go, hey, where are you guys from anyway? And I could tell that she was on to me. She goes, very condescendingly, she says, I'm from California. If you are asking my ethnicity, I am Chinese. And her husband was just cool about the shit. He was like, I'm Mexican, bro. I said, well, I'm sorry if I offended you by asking.
But you're a very beautiful couple. And miss, there's no question that you're gonna give birth to the hardest working baby this world has ever seen. That's not a bad joke. She got very upset. She got up to leave immediately, but she didn't just leave. She had to take one last dig at me on the way out. I will never buy one of your fucking DVDs again, Dave Chappelle.
I said, ma'am, with all due respect, Chinese people don't buy DVDs.
All right, y'all. So basically, all of that to say, as Dave Chappelle so greatly explained just in a little segment, we love Dave. We love how great he is with the way he can storytell, the way he can get you guys engaged, make you laugh. But to those who really know great comedians like Dave Chappelle and so many others, when you tell a story like that, it's more than just for the laughs, but to give you guys a true thought process of what, as he mentioned with America, how we are. Are we too sensitive? Is cancel culture now the living representation of how sensitive America is? Or is it not just America, but is it a worldly thing? I leave the floor, but first I want to go ahead and open the floor up to Miss Janine, since this is a ladies first kind of deal. And I would like the lady to go first on this ideal of cancel culture. And what do you think? What should we do about this?
So I'm gonna go back to what Jonathan said. Like, cancel culture works when it's done the right way. And then to piggyback off of, like, at what point does it make sense to cancel? Like, a Bill Cosby type of situation, obviously, like, it's wrong. There's no way of trying to justify the shit he did. It was nasty. But then you have situations where I feel like cancel culture now has turned into almost like just hypersensitivity, and then people lean into the hypersensitivity, and then it's like, oh well, because you hurt my feelings, I want to cancel you. And in a situation with, like, I want to talk about, so Netflix just brought over a lot of our favorite shows, so like the Parkers and like Moesha and One-on-One and Girlfriends, etc. Saw where Twitter tried to do this thing where they were like saying, maybe not cancel, but they were just bringing up the fact that Kim got a lot of fat jokes and that this is toxic and all these other things. I think we have to take into consideration when trying to cancel people. Like, I'm not in support of going back 5, 6, 7, 8 years to dig up something and then trying to apply it to who that person is today. Like, if we look at the 90s was the decade of roasting. Like, that was just what we did. Like, it fucking built character.
It was beautiful, to be honest.
That's just the times, and as times change and as we evolve and as we realize that maybe some behaviors aren't necessarily great, you know, we do that. But then to now try to take away a classic because you might be hypersensitive about your weight, like, I'm not here for that side of cancel culture.
Right.
Yeah, I think this hypersensitivity aspect is very prevalent, but I think it's also out of selective outrage. Mm-hmm. Like, there are people that want to cancel people because, like you said, it's something that they want to cancel them for. It's not something that was behavior that, you know, was demonstrative for a large group of people, and they continue to do it and continue to do it. Like, for example, with Kevin Hart, like you brought him up before the recording, Jonathan. His whole thing, that honestly pissed me off, because of the fact that you brought up a tweet that was 10 years old, and since he made that tweet, in the years to follow, what has he done to change his behavior? There's been changed behavior. He has learned from his ways, right? And I think that that's something that when as a society we do this cancel culture thing, we don't take into consideration someone's ability to evolve, their growth. That's never taken into consideration. It's always, this happened and I'm applying it to you right now. Like you said, Janean, it's like, so you go back 5-8 years into someone's past, find a clip or whatever and apply it to right now. There are certain things that, okay, if you do that, I see this stuff is still, relevant to who you are today. Harvey Weinstein, for example.
Yeah.
There's been stuff that he did, 20, 30 years ago that was brought up, that was still going on, right? Mm-hmm. So I understand the outrage and the canceling, the cancellation of him. I get that. I'm fully behind that. But when you try to go after people, excuse me, like Kevin Hart, that have actually learned from mistakes, but also this is another thing. When you're as a comedian, like you were talking about, Dwayne, it's kind of hard to I think
we're the line to cross until you've crossed it.
Yeah, we're now moving into a space where you're canceling comedians for doing what they've always done, which is find a joke in everything, in anything and everything.
They were the only ones making light of things that could almost, you can never make light of.
Exactly. And that's
which
art.
Is their genius.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
That's a true art. And when you go from to crossing that line of canceling out comedians because you got offended by something they said, that's part of their job, is to offend. And it's not to hurt you, but there are people that are going to find stuff that they say offensive. There are a lot of people that find stuff that Dave Chappelle says offensive, but the vast majority, we find it hilarious. I love everything Dave Chappelle has done. It's hilarious. Right. So, and he's an equal opportunist with his stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know everybody's catching it.
Yeah. So it's not like it's only person. If he went up there, based off the clip you just played, if he went up on stage and made jokes about Asian people every time, and that's all he was going, that's the only group of people he was going after, Asian people, and all he's doing is making Asian jokes. Okay, I can see the problem with that. I can see an issue with that.
Right.
But he makes jokes about white people. He's made jokes about black people. He's called out Candace Owens. He's called out so many people.
He did a racial draft.
Yeah.
He should have did a racial draft.
Yeah. Oh, now that was hilarious.
That was funny as shit.
That was classic.
And I think the biggest thing is it's not necessarily the words you say, but how you say them and the intent of which you are saying them.
Your intentions.
So if you are using it in a comedic manner, or if you're using it on a TV show to bring light to the issues with a funny twist, so to be like, hey, Black Lives Matter, but haha, here's a joke to make you really focus on it. Because I think that's kind of what the speaks to the genius of Chappelle and Hart and so many of our comedians. In a low key, kind of high key way, they're twisting it to be like, hey, it's funny, right? But don't forget, this actually exists.
It's really happening. Yeah.
The way that it's really happening, and it's really an issue, and it speaks to how fucking smart they are. Honestly, they've learned to use it as a tool.
Yeah.
You know,
Chris Rock.
where right, Chris Rock's a great example, but you know, where they're doing that in that manner, you know, someone coming out saying the N word or the S word to a Hispanic or whatever the case is, like just saying that to someone is different, and you deserve to be canceled. But saying it in a manner of which you're just trying to be funny or entertaining or whatever the case is, along with still being a great activist. Because mind you, Chappelle's a great activist.
Oh,
Art's
for
a
sure.
great activist. I mean,
Sure.
they all have spoken up and have never been afraid to speak up. And you got to think about it. Back when Chappelle's prime, I'm not surprised they told him to stop doing some of the things he did, because he was bringing
on TV.
He was bringing light to a lot of things that the old white CEOs didn't want to be, you know, they didn't want to talk about. So he was kind of the leading class, if you want to call it, of that.
Yeah.
So you know, and speaking of cancel culture, like they have cartoons being canceled and certain TV shows being done for. We don't want that.
No.
We want the blatant racists to be canceled, or to no longer be a force in our community or in our entertainment or whatever the case is. Those people got to go. But someone just trying to be funny. And mind you, so we're speaking of a black person. So we're speaking of Dave Chappelle. And a lot of black people may feel more comfortable. But even we have Larry the Cable Guy, who's hilarious.
I like Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah, hilarious. Has made plenty of jokes about all races. You know, it's not a cancel all white people thing when it's don't cancel them, anybody, any comedian, any entertainer. Like this is one thing I feel like we're never going to be selective about.
Well, I think there are certain times when even as a comedian they can cross the line. So, for example, if a white comedian did go on stage and like example, Michael Richards, Kramer, he went, he was at the Laugh Factory, and nigga this, nigga that, and he's just flying around with it, right? That to me, that's when you cross the line as a comedian. You see what I'm saying? Like that's where I'm like, okay, boom. Boom. But at the same time, it's like as long as comedians don't go into the disrespectful arena like that, where now you're being viewed as a racist, like that's where it's fair game. As long as you're not being like that, fair game. And I think comedians and their audience know that. As long as they don't go, you know, into that area where it becomes an actual issue when you're using slurs and stuff like that all the time, that's where the audience is like, okay, you know,
there's always
free
a
reign. Yeah, there's always a limit, but free reign.
The push for cancel culture really started from the BLM movement, but for good reasons. So the cancel culture that should exist, you know, we're looking at the past of senators or legislators, people who have direct effect on the community and the systemic racism we talk about. When they're saying, well, those people in that city don't deserve that, let's put the funds here somewhere else. Where it's more deserved. More deserved. I feel like the whole
cancel
country.
His ass.
That's a cancel. That's straight up. You are essentially redlining. So this is a big thing in the banking world. You're redlining people from opportunity.
Right.
So we're speaking back. Life, an opportunity, the pursuit of happiness. I mean, come on. Like the things you claim that this country's all about. If your racism is preventing everybody to get that opportunity, you gotta go.
Yeah,
you gotta go. A comedian ain't doing that. A politician is.
Right. Yeah. And I think my issue with this whole thing is that the powers that be are starting to listen to a lot of outrage for canceling, and they're doing what makes them feel comfortable. So like we discussed before we recorded, or we started recording, Golden Girls. Now you have these 2 episodes that are being blacklisted because these women have mud masks and they view it as blackface. I you know what? I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't want any of that stuff erased. I don't want any of it erased. You know why? Because when we go back in time and look at how it was during that time, I want people that are yet to be born or that are young right now to be able to look back and say, "Oh, okay, I get it." I want them to see blackface. I want them to see what it was for them to do that in the 30s and 40s.
When you're trying to teach a lesson, you need something to reference.
Right. If you literally,
it can't just go away.
This speaks back to how white people controlled history. When now you're erasing how things were just so you
because
look
you don't
good.
want to look bad. Yep.
Yes.
Now you're going into a territory where, bro, that's stupid. And now you want to do it because it makes you feel good, not because it helps me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I don't understand. That's what I don't understand.
You're pandering to yourself.
Exactly.
It don't help.
Exactly. It doesn't help anything.
It don't help.
Not for us. It helps you as a white person to move forward and be like, oh, you know,
we aren't the bad guys here.
We're not the bad guys. Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as on what they try to make it out to be.
So where I have solace in knowing is this era we're in, the social movement will be in our history books for the rest of our humanity.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm so happy, and you guys should feel blessed if that's the case. It shouldn't have taken what's happened for this to be the case, but there's no more erasing the history. There's no more erasing the facts, and more people are willing and able to speak up than ever before.
For sure.
That's what matters. That's what matters. Because this is going to be ingrained in every history book forever.
Yeah.
You can't hide this no more.
No.
You can't hide the systemic injustices.
No.
You can't hide the murder that we've seen for years.
Yeah.
Because we have video. We have phone. You can see my phone now. We have it all. We have resources, and we have people that are stepping up. You know, more white people are not afraid to go against their own white families.
And that's a big thing right there. That's a big thing.
We talked about that last episode. That is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Everybody can change without a majority.
Right.
We're minorities by number and by just sheer relevance at this time. It shouldn't be the case, but that's what it is, right? We are slowly, in terms of mindset, we are moving towards majority. Yeah. When that day comes, our future generations will be good. But and when I say that day comes, this could be years down the road, because yes, we're all willing, and I think more people are willing to move towards that. It still needs to be done, because we speak about it. You can say all you want.
Yeah.
What are you doing to prove it? Where's the action? That's what we need.
And that's what I was talking about earlier, where I want us as a collective to support those people that are fighting those fights, that whether that's in politics, whether that's in business, whether that's in media, whatever arena you're discussing, anyone that wants to be able to make those rights, they need to be supported. They have to, because like you said, that's where you become the majority.
Yes.
The mindset, where that mindset becomes the majority, because you can't make that change without that. When you get those people in those positions of power, and especially when the older white men that are in positions of power begin to move on, and that position is now handed to someone that understands what we're talking about, things will change. Things will definitely change.
Yes.
Most definitely.
Well, all right. So I'm going to, since this to kind of conclude, I'm going to leave my fellow guests and hosts here with a thought when we're talking cancel culture, okay? And I'm going to read a tweet from an anonymous public figure.
Anonymous?
An anonymous public figure who will not be named.
Okay.
An anonymous public figure, but this is a tweet that was published by this person at 12:30 a.m. on July 22nd of this year. So this is not a 10, 15-year ago thing. This is a recent tweet. And it's kind of like a final thought on, in your minds, would you put this person in your cancel culture, or would you just look at it as a simple act of, oh, he is just ignorant, you know, he or she is just ignorant, you know, that kind of deal.
I think I know what you're about to say.
Here we go.
I feel like I do too.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna Google
right?
it.
Let's see.
Oh, I'm calling them out if I figure it out.
Black Lives Matter is equal to the KKK.
Is that Terry?
It's not Terry Crews.
Listen.
This is an anonymous person that is neither true nor false. That is neither true or nor false. This is an anonymous public figure, whom of which will not be named.
Terry Crews needs to sit his ass down and don't speak on black issues anymore. That's my
at all.
And that's on period. And I was joking, but that's
yeah.
So I think he's past the needs time to get educated. At this point in his life, if he hasn't been educated, that's his problem.
That is.
And I'm going to speak back to what I said to Drew Brees, to Roger Goodell, to the NFL, to anybody who's against Kaepernick. Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry.
Pretty much.
I second that.
Shut the fuck up.
I agree with that.
Really nothing else to say, Dwayne. I know you brought the quote up for a reason, because we speak of extremism. KKK is point blank simply an extremist group. There's no leeway when it comes to the KKK. They're based off the hate of other races, period. Black Lives Matter. We spoke of this, and I'm not going to go over it all over again. There are extremists, of course, but the majority of the movement is about peaceful protests and the movement for Black lives to no longer be diminished in our community and to simply stop dying. End of conversation. Terry Crews, you can go fuck yourself. That's all I have to say.
For sure. I second that. And I think that's something that, again, like you're saying, he's not, like what I was saying earlier, there's some people that just don't care. He's more concerned about his pockets, not about an actual movement that will help people. And when you come from see, that's also the issue that I have with certain celebrities. They come from these backgrounds that are amongst the crowd of people that are being ignored. They make it they make their success however they make it, and then say, you know, I'm good. I can't stand that. So for Terry Crews and everyone else like him, I second Jonathan.
All right, Miss Janine.
Go ahead, Janine. I'm sorry.
Janine has the final word. She has the final word before we call this an episode. So, by all means, Janine, go ahead and say your final word.
Said to suck a butt. I didn't have much else to say. That's all.
Hey, there we go. Point blank period. You've heard it here, people, all around the room. The thoughts have been laid out. To all of those a part of the cancel culture, please make sure you truly understand what it is that you are quote unquote canceling. Not J. Cole, by the way. Right? Make that known. Not J. Cole.
Make that clear.
Clear as day.
All right. So
we need t-shirts.
Yeah. All right. You will not cancel J. Cole, and you will not cancel anyone of a J. Cole level or intellect that is a part of that. Okay. Therefore,
especially someone's trying to learn.
Exactly. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for listening. We thank you for taking this journey with us. I'm going to have every person go around the room, tell you where they can find you, and in the process, give a final thought on today's episode. So let's start with the ladies first. And Janine, let's go your way as the guest. By all means, tell your final thought and tell everybody where they can find you.
My final thought is I'm going to second Dwayne, with cancel culture, or Dwayne and Jonathan. Cancel culture, when done right, is very necessary because it does highlight a lot of injustice and bullshit that we've been dealing with that we may have not been able to bring or shed light on as easily now. So if you're going to be a part of the cancel culture, be responsible. I think judge people based off of their present and the work that they've done to get here. Understand that going back 8, 9, 10 years on Twitter, this is when Twitter was new to all of us. I don't think anybody had the foresight to know that it would be like a permanent thing. We thought this was going to be like a MySpace. This is just fun for now, and then it'll disappear. So a lot of us have grown since then. We've all came out and said dumb things before, but after you've been checked and have learned, you're not supposed to do that anymore. So that doesn't warrant a cancel. So just be smart and be responsible. As far as finding me, I'm on IG at Nina Soul, NIINASOL. You can find me on my podcast, What I Think About This Week, as well as Past the Ox, and Twitter, O_Nina.
All right, Mr. Derrick, go ahead and tell the people where they can find you and what your final thought is for today.
I'm going to say the same thing. When done right, it's a useful tool. Especially like we've seen that with the Me Too movement. It's been a very useful thing to cancel certain people out. But again, like I said earlier, if you're not willing to look at someone's ability to grow and their involvement, just try to cancel them out for something that you didn't like, that's irresponsible on many levels, because now you're taking money away out of their pocket that is feeding their family. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being selective outraged about things, truly understand what it is you're mad about and why, and the impact that you're going to end up having on someone else's life and their career by canceling them out. But if they deserve it, they deserve it. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's someone that's truly wrong, I'm for it. But this whole thing where you're not willing to take into some consideration someone's growth or ability to try to learn about something, example of that would be Nick Cannon. He's been trying to learn about anti-Semitism and all that stuff, and that whole thing is just wild to me. But I even actually grew from that, because now I'm understanding what it was that he said that was anti-Semitic. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't hear it, but now I've learned. Now I know moving forward what's what. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole different conversation, which I think we should have eventually.
Sure.
But yeah, you can find me at Derrick_OTS. That's DERRICK. And
Spelled
also
the black way.
Spell the black way. Fight the power. But you can also find me at OTS Guys. I run the social media for OTS, for On the Sidelines. So that's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Look us up on YouTube. We are actually putting out other YouTube-based shows, more than just the podcast that you're tuned to or you're watching right now. But stay tuned, subscribe, hit that alert button, and see when we have new videos posting. We have everything posting pretty much every day or every other day. But yeah, keep a lookout. Oh, and check the website, otsguys.com.
Hey, all right, brother Jonathan. Floor is yours, brother.
Don't worry about me. All I have to say is arrest and convict the cops who killed Breonna Taylor.
Ooh,
That's
okay.
it.
All right.
Yes, and we need to be putting their names out there.
Yes.
I don't like that they're able to be anonymous.
It's a conversation I'd love to have as well. But
yep,
arrest and convict the killers of Breonna Taylor.
So go ahead and tell the people where they can find you then, Mr. Jonathan.
You can find me at JON_OTS, or at the Timeout OTS page, just Timeout_OTS.
All right. And of course, we thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this episode. Again, I would like to shout out the people of Six Families Radio listening live on Timeout Tuesdays. I would also like to thank people listening on TuneIn. If you're listening on TuneIn, do us a quick favor. There's a little heart right above you there. Go ahead and press that heart real quick to help out the Six Families Radio continually to grow. And if you're listening on Six Families Radio, make sure you check out all things at otsguys.com. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that there subscribe button, hit that there bell and that alert button so that you know every time a new video posts up, you can catch out our many, many other shows, and follow all things OTS. And until the next time, this is Time Out, and we are signing out.